another episode of Guess What's Coming to Dinner. I'm one of the hosts, Dara Lashley.
I am Salome Dinoon.
I'm Michael Dwayne Paylor.
And we are joined by actor Julianne Lea.
I know.
Yes, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Fun fact, I don't think she remembers, but Julianne was the very first person I did repetition with when I started the school.
Whoa. I don't remember the actual situation, but I remember you telling me that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's half true. Wow, really?
That's awesome.
Yep.
Dang.
You always remember your first.
Yep.
Yeah. How long ago was
do.
that? 'Cause- yeah, let's get that ASMR of that. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I hate ASMR.
I don't remember my
bad.
first person.
I don't
No,
know.
let's do
It
it.
must not have been that good.
Oh,
You don't
That is
remember your
plain.
first?
I know.
I don't remember my first person.
Oh, you
You remember
guys.
your first person?
Yeah, Eric Brizuela.
Nice.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hope he's
I
doing
want to think it's Maddie, but I don't know.
That would be
I don't
awesome.
remember.
Probably.
Maddie was my first time helping someone with a spoon.
That's cool.
That was nice.
I don't
Was
remember
it?
these names.
Was it, Michael? What was that?
It was. I liked it. It was fun. I was like, wow. It's
Interesting.
Yeah.
cool to look and see this up close and personal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yes, my
Yes.
first. And also, I really think you were one of the most talented people that came out of Playhouse.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And you just said that you were not even represented yet.
No,
And I'm
that's
like, what? That's so crazy.
No.
Because I felt like you would have been already so long ago.
That's to my own laziness. I'm sure it's other things, but I'll chalk it up to that.
But
Yeah.
it's like you said, everything happens when it's supposed to happen.
Yes.
So it's gonna be all right.
And then it's just finding the opportunities to make that happen. Like this just happened, so hopefully I don't cry on this podcast unless it's what you want. I'll do it.
You be the first, I think.
Huh?
You be the first.
Tears of joy or sadness. All right.
Yeah.
Let's
Nobody's
see what
cried on
happens.
here.
All right. Well,
No, we've had some tears. We have.
Yeah?
You
Yeah.
maybe.
Me, I cry
Me
all
too.
the time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
no.
Okay.
Well, so funny enough, we're like, I won't divert too much so we stay on track of everything. But I had just gotten the news earlier this week that I might be terminated from my company in 30 days. And it's one that I've been with for almost a decade, which was partly the issue of like, you know, a lot of things after the pandemic, it was really rough and a lot of people had to be let go. And like, fortunately, I was fortunately, unfortunately, however you look at it, like I still had a job, which was good, but also it was like, okay, it's a matter of time before they downsize or before they're looking for new people. I'm technically, I guess, like one of the more expensive employees just because I've been there for so long. And so, like, I already knew deep down, I was like, there's an expiration date to this. But then I got the notification earlier this week that, like, I might be, which I was like, I don't know if I like it that I got a heads up or not. They were trying to do me a favor to not, like, surprise me. But you would think in that moment, like, I don't know, there was a genuine part of me in that moment that was, when I heard it, I thought my immediate thought was going to be, okay, like, all this acting stuff was fun, I guess, but, like, now I have to get back to the real world, and I have bills to pay, and I got people to take care of, and all this, and so, all right, I'm going to buckle down on this, or I'm going to find another job, and it is what it is. I thought maybe there was a possibility I would think like that, just because I on top of, like, rent and other bills and, like, school loans and stuff, I pay a mortgage for my parents for their future place when they retire in a few years. And so I was like, I can't, it's too expensive to be poor. Like, I was like, I can't afford to not afford something, if not for myself. Like, I can be homeless. I've been before, but, like, my parents need that place. So I was like, I thought I was just going to give all of this up. But then my thought afterwards, funny enough, was like, oh, now I really need to make this work. Like, I was like, I really need to make acting work. And not work in a financial sense, but, like, I need to know that I'm putting my full effort and time in it, into the craft, into making it a career. Because if I am going to choose this lifestyle, then I need to fully commit to it. Otherwise, it's not worth it. It's not worth all the other sacrifices that could, come out of it. So going through it right now, but then oddly enough, it kind of lit a fire under my butt where I was like, okay, now I'm actually gonna finally get around to even just finalizing my reel, and then looking for representation.
You must have so many options to choose from for real.
No, well, yes and no. I feel like in class, I've done a lot more. Well, I've done an even amount, but I think a little bit more of dramatic scenes. But then in films, I've done more comedy, which I know there's difficulty in that as well. All of you guys have been in dramas and comedies, and it's it's so hard, in both, for different reasons. But I'm trying to diversify the reel now, because I'm all right, I need a little bit more dramatic coverage, and I know I can do it, but I need an opportunity. And then I guess that's where it comes in, where we're okay, we're gonna make our own films if we're not gonna be casted in one,
Right.
Yeah.
because that's what you got to do.
It is.
Make your own opportunity.
Make your own opportunities. No one's gonna care about you as much as you care about yourself, and it could seem like a pessimistic outlook, but it's actually a really reassuring one, because it's you're only gonna care, you're only gonna go and be what you want to be and be where you want to be, depending on how much work you put into it. Sometimes the odds are against your favors, it's not just how much you work hard, but it's knowing you're doing all that you can in what you're able to do, and then leave the rest up to God or the universe, or whatever it is that people believe in, and just hope that something good will come out of it.
Yep.
So but
That's the way to go.
yeah, I'm curious, so how long, because I know everyone, but how long have you guys been in school for? Just curious. Or even just in acting, how
I
long have
dropped
you guys
out.
been acting? Well, I know you dropped out. I know you dropped out. But how long were you there prior to leaving? Also, not dropping out. You didn't drop out, makes it seem like it was a
It is what it is. I dropped out.
yeah.
I
Well,
didn't finish the curriculum.
no. I thought you got to. I don't know why I thought you got to character work. Yeah.
I got close.
Mm.
I was in the spoons, but
Yeah.
I want to say 2021 maybe.
Okay.
Or yeah, 21 September 21 to 23 November.
Mhm. And you were acting before that, or that was?
I've acted in high school. I've done some community plays around that time. And then I became an adult and got distracted by life. But then in 2010, I took an acting class for a couple of months. It never went away. I always wanted to do it since I was 13. And life just was difficult. I was married, I had kids, I kept getting more kids. I then
Whom you
divorced. Then I got divorced, well, separated, and the pandemic happened. And I was like, well, I'm going to find my way back to this thing that I wanted to do so long ago, and it never left. And so I looked for an acting class in the area, found Playhouse, was like, all right, let me audit it. Went and audited it. And when I did, it was kind of weird, because I had just bought a book 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks prior, because I wanted to listen to some acting stuff. I wanted to be close to it. And it was Sandy Meisner on acting. And it was on audio, and it was talking about repetition and all that stuff. And then I randomly find this place, and I actually see it, and I was like, wow.
Not so random.
Not so random. Yeah. There you go. Well,
And now I understood the book more, and I was like, well, maybe this is where I need to be.
yeah.
That's amazing.
So-
I love
And at the time, I was living in New Jersey. I didn't like Philly because they were really aggressive with the parking tickets.
Still so aggressive.
They really
Yeah.
are.
Even worse now.
The PPA is the
Way
mafia,
worse.
basically.
Oh.
Mafia.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I just, it's weird. I don't know. Like, it's just, I tried to get away from acting. I tried to, like, go to school, like, find something else I could be good at, and it just keeps coming back.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's a beautiful curse, but a curse
A
nevertheless.
curse, yes.
It is when you can't shake off what you feel like you're either meant to do or at least are so passionate about, and you're like, I don't need to do this. I don't need to do this. I want to do this, and then life is like, no, you need to do this. I'm like, ah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what also a beautiful way of as much as there were really rough periods and like things that happened that led to where you are now, you are where you're at now because of those things. But then also how cool, I can't imagine like from the perspective of your children, like if I had a father who was like, you know what, I'm going to actually, like, I'm still doing what I need to do, but I'm also going to pursue my dream now. I would think that would be so cool.
Yeah, for sure.
I should hope so, but I don't know if that's how they see it.
Yeah.
It's something that keeps me up at night, and I wonder,
Yeah.
because maybe I could have made different choices or moved closer to where they are, because they live in Louisiana. But I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
It is very tricky raising people, because you'll find that most times you break them and mess them up unintentionally, and I'm just trying to do as little damage as possible.
Or just be there for them when it sometimes feels like the world is also crumbling.
Right.
Like they're also growing up in such a different environment than the environment that we grew up in. And it's like no one knows how to navigate it. Everyone's like kind of learning as we're going. So at least it's just being that safe place of like I'm here. Just the fact that you're like, I'm still here and I'm not going anywhere. Not just like physical location wise, but it's like you have me and you have a safe place and you have a space that you and a person that you can go to when things are very difficult or you don't understand things, and it's okay if you don't understand what it is I'm doing or why I'm doing it, but you see the consistency in it, and hopefully when they get older and they start making their, adult decisions, they can really see and like admire that aspect of you.
I try to be the example.
Yes.
Because I feel like that I notice a lot of generational curses, like from my parents and my siblings, and I'm like, I don't want this for my kids.
Yeah.
But I can't do anything other than be an example of something else.
You know what? I think we'll be okay though, because two things happened this year to me. Like, because I work like with pre-K kids, and when their parents drop them off, they say, I love you, I hope you have a great day. I'm like, that shit wasn't happening when I was growing up. And then my parents came to visit like a couple weeks ago, and I don't know, I feel like it's maybe me and like or the relationship I have with them. But so we did this kind of like swap. They visited my sister first, and then they came and they visited me, and we all met up in the middle, and we got to see each other for a little bit and stuff. And when my dad was leaving, he told my brother-in-law, I love you. I was like, what's happening? You what? But okay. But then when they left, he didn't say it to me, and that was okay. I was fine with that. But I'm just like, at least is there, and he says it, No, it's fine that he didn't say it to me. Like, I think that's just the relationship that we have, because when they came, I cried. Like I hadn't seen them, like, in maybe, like, 4 or 5 years. And I was just, like, boo-hoo crying, because I was so happy that they came, and they got to see me, like, being okay and stuff. And my mom was like, oh, I thought you were stronger than this. So, yeah, it's fine. I think it's just the relationship we have. But all that to say, I think that we even though like back then, like for us anyway, growing up, love was something that you would just kind of like guess, and you would feel like through the things that your parents did for you. But now people are more open.
They are.
Yeah.
Like,
So
to your point, it's just like a lot more verbally expressive.
Yeah.
And maybe that's also then like because the parents who have multiple kids who also kind of slightly grow up in different circumstances or like different time frames, it's like, oh, okay, we tried this method, which I keep hitting this mic, I'm so sorry.
I hate mine at times.
I'm like, but it's like, but then sometimes the parents learn from the first child of like, okay, maybe we were a little too tough, and maybe we could have been a little bit nicer, or we could have verbally expressed our love a little bit more, and not just assume that they knew just because we're related by blood.
And then by the fourth one, you're exhausted, and you're like,
yeah. But then it's also fine, because then by the time you have the fourth kid's like, I'm just gonna do whatever, and the parents are like, and we'll let you do whatever. So,
We're over it.
yeah.
Okay, I understand.
Yeah. Oh man, but so
do you have siblings?
do I technically, yes. Technically, I have a stepbrother. I may have half siblings out there in the world that I don't know about, but I grew up as an only child, so I would say I identify as an only child. Yeah. I will say though, like I know there's stereotypes between like being an only child versus being like one of three, right? And like that whole psychology of it. I think I did grow up spoiled, but not in the stereotypical sense of only children like growing up spoiled. Like I wasn't spoiled with a lot of things, but like growing up, like my mom, she, you know, it was really rough. Like, not to go into like too much detail, but it just was not a good environment physically, mentally, like all of that, in the marriage and with my birth dad. And so eventually it just got to a point where things escalated and we needed to like remove ourselves, or she needed to remove me. And a lot of it in the beginning for her, she was like, oh, I don't want like Julianne to like grow up without a dad. And then it evolved to like, I don't want her growing up with this dad. But then I think to counteract that, she made sure that like I was very much spoiled in love. Never really said I love you. It's just not really, I think now it's more of a cultural thing, like we were saying, like it's just they're a lot more expressive. But same as your parents were, like she would do a lot of things to show her love. And so in that sense, like very spoiled with like acts of service and such. And so I think with that, I kind of lucked out where like there's obviously some damage and trauma, I'm sure, where I guess now it makes sense why I'm in the arts and masochistic enough to put myself through the ringer for roles. But like definitely fortunate where I'm like, man, I could have easily been a brat. And I would have been such a great brat. Like, I tell my mom sometimes, I'm like, you did this all wrong. I'm like, you try to raise a humble person. You should have just made me a spoiled brat, gold digger. We would have both been rich by now. I would have had no morals, just throw it out the window. What aspirations? My aspiration would be in, like, a high, like, you know, like, apartment, condo, whatever, like, skyline place. I'm like, no, but you had to raise someone who understood the value of money and the value of treating people well. And, like, pursuing what you want to pursue. And so I'm like, this is on you.
That's amazing.
But I'm telling you, life would be so much easier if you were just so ignorant. Like,
I look at it all the time, like those people who are just winning.
Yes.
And they're just doing the worst. And I'm like, I got morals and this is...
See...
Passion.
It's the same thing for us. We grew up like that. It was like, oh, these people are getting ahead. They're, like, doing stuff. And then my mom and my dad, they would say, like, they would quote this part in the Bible that says, the wicked seems to prosper for a while, but then in the end, it won't be like that.
Yes.
Yeah, but the end is nowhere near.
Is what you think. Is what you
they
think.
get theirs. I promise. They
They've
get
been
theirs.
prospering for decades.
Yeah.
But they get theirs. I promise. They do.
Oh. I get that, like, so I am a Christian, and I know technically within Christianity you don't believe in, like, the true whatever people call karma, but I believe in, like, righteous justice. And I'm like, I'd be like, anything happens, I'm like, I don't need to do a thing. I'm like, I am so relaxed, no forehead wrinkles or anything, because, like, my God will smite you. Like, my God has got my back, and, like, my God is your God, and I know we're all children, but, like, he's going to discipline the children that need discipline. discipline, and you know.
Yeah.
And so like I just have to take the back seat and just realize that like God's got me and God's got everyone. Things will work out. I just have to keep doing what I feel like He's either calling me to do or go into the direction that I feel like He's telling me I'm okay to go into. Because it's like, so I think I didn't realize how much I needed it, but I think I needed permission, not just from my parents, but also from God to be like, is it okay that I do this? Is it okay if I go into acting? Is this some sort of like attempt to, I don't know, just like, is this a vanity attempt? Like, is this really just because I really love the craft of it and I really love movies and I love storytelling? Or is because there's a part of me that like has some sort of, I don't know, like other motives or intentions with it, or is using this to, I don't know, like I went through this whole like existential crisis because this happened during COVID, like everyone else, you know, and so I remember thinking a lot about it, and so I remember talking with my parents and then really praying about it and just kind of being like, I'm not gonna go as far to say like, oh, is this what you're calling me to do, but is this a road that you've paved for me, and is it okay that I go on it, like regardless of what happens at the end of it, right? Like, is this something that I feel like I'm doing because I want to do it, or because I really feel like I'm called to at least pursue it? And the answer speaks for itself now because I'm here. But yeah, that's
Did she answer the question?
Did I answer the question? I might have gone on tangents. That's my Achilles heel.
Ask the
Not
question.
exactly. Yeah. Not exactly.
Ask the question,
First
Salome.
one.
Oh! What inspired you to be an actor?
That in a roundabout way.
Yeah.
That also a quick pause for this water ASMR for the people watching and listening. Trickle, trickle. Oh yeah, pause it for anyone who needs to take a bathroom break. Oh yeah, get it. All right. What got me into acting?
What inspired you? What?
What inspired me?
Yes. Why did you go on this journey?
This sounds bleak. I don't know if I had something that inspired me, but I will say, this may not directly answer your question, but it does answer your question of like, I don't think anything specifically inspired me, unless I mention when the first time I audited Playhouse, where I guess I would say I felt very inspired by people who were pursuing.
What made you have the idea that acting might be something you were interested in?
Oh, so during the lockdown, when everyone had their quarantine hobbies, some people were baking, and then there was a short of yeast. Some people decided to spend hours and hours on Animal Crossing. Acting was one. I only started going to Playhouse. I hate to admit it, but the truth is, like, I only really got interested in attending Playhouse because I thought it was going to be a quarantine hobby. I thought it was going to be, because I was living on my own during that time, and I was in the city during lockdown, so it was really hard to have a community that you could tap into a lot. So I was like, I want to find another community again. And what's a great community than people who I've, like, created, so I feel like are embracing themselves and willing to, like, pursue their lives doing what they love. I think that's a great community to be surrounded by, to be surrounded with. And also, selfishly, I was like, maybe this will be therapeutic. Like, I don't know what these classes are going to be like. I don't know if I'm going to be yelling or crying. Like, maybe this will be a form of therapy. It is not. But that's how I first got into it, was like, I'm just going to join as a quarantine hobby. Maybe it'll be a good experience. Maybe I'll learn something from it, and maybe I'll meet really great people from it. That is how it started off, and I didn't intend for it to snowball into, like, where I'm at now. Yeah, to 4 years now, being like, oh, I want to pursue this, and then hearing, like, oh, the 9 to 5 that I've been in for a decade, I might lose the job. All right, well, I guess I got to buckle down with acting. Like, never thought it would have gotten to this. But I guess then, like, what inspired me after I decided to check out the school was, just seeing how everyone felt like, at the time, the people that, in the class that I audited, seeing how liberated they were, and seeing them just be so loose and creative and free on stage, and just so, like, not oblivious, but just they didn't care about how they like were coming off as or how they looked or how they sounded. They were just in it, like in their roles, in the scene. And I thought it was just very, very cool. And I was like, I want to be like them in the sense that like I want to feel liberated and I want to feel like I can just truly express like raw emotion and tell a story. And I remember driving back. No, did I drive? Yeah, I think by that point I was driving. I remember driving back, and I remember thinking to myself, like, oh, no. I was like, oh, no. I think I really, really love, like, I think I might really, really love acting or, like, being in the art medium. Because my background, like, you said you were in plays, and like, when you were younger, I maybe had like one little background role because they needed it at the school. It wasn't really necessarily anything that I had any interest in like pursuing. I mean, I like singing because I like karaoke, but like I'm Korean and Koreans love karaoke. That's just a thing. Like it's nothing new. So never really thought I had any like serious interest in it. And then I remember driving that day from the audit, I was like, oh no, I think I just unlocked something in me that I didn't know was there.
And your reaction was, oh no?
My reaction was, oh no, because there was a part of me that knew, that could have never anticipated where I am now, but even back then, there was a part of me that knew, like, my life is about to change. Like, when you find something that you really love, just for the sake of loving, whether you succeed in it or not, to, like, realize that you're really passionate and interested about something, it's really hard to go back to the life you were living before. It's very difficult. You can't, because you can't ignore it. You're no longer ignorant. You're
not the same anymore.
You're not the same. And I think that was my oh no. It was like, oh no, things are not going to be the same. I can't just like go back to be like, all right, I'll just do these classes for a few months and that's it. Or oh, maybe I won't even go attend these classes because I know what'll happen. I was like, no, I have to now. And I have to see this thing through, and I have to see if I have any talent in it, or if I can work hard in it and work smart in it. So yeah, it was definitely an oh no.
So how long did it take you to discover that you were talented in it?
I don't know. I don't know. You shouldn't base your worth off of what people say. But it's so hard to gauge your but it's so hard to gauge your own performance. And like I don't think I really knew if I was good, but then I trusted the people around me weren't just saying that I was good and like really meant it if they said they liked something. And so I was like, all right, well, even if I, am pessimistic where I believe one or two people might, be yes, let's bring the mood. Yes, so like I lost my train of thought.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. It's groovy.
You were saying you don't know if you were good, or you trusted other people's opinion.
I think even if you believe one or two might not mean it, at a certain point you have to be like, all right, if enough people are saying it, then maybe there's something there. But I think at the point where I maybe not realized I was good in it, but realized that I could fully be in a character was when I did get to like the emotional preparation stage and just like going into spoons and like really trying to understand the life of like another life and another personality and like, and I think the moment where I felt like, oh, I had no like thought of my own or insecurity in my head when I was up on stage of how I was being perceived. I think that's when I realized like I don't know if I'm good, but I know I can be in it. So I don't know if I don't want to say I don't know if I'm good because that sounds like fake fake humility. So I'm saying like this gal. I don't know. Like I think all of us to some degree have to believe that like there is talent there to some degree, right? I don't know when it happened, but and again, you shouldn't rely on other people, but I think the only way I could really believe it was enough people telling me like, no, like you're good, and I was like, thanks, thanks,
You are. You're so
thank
good.
you, thank you.
All right, so when you feel like you're not doing your best, what is it that you tell yourself in those times?
I feel like Tony would tell this to us a lot, but like just relax. I think that's the big thing is like you're overcomplicating things, and it's good that you've done a lot of homework and research on the background, but you're bringing too much of it on stage. You know, like studying the background, studying a character and why they are the way they are. I don't walk into a Starbucks or a Dunkin' or wherever. I don't walk into a cafe and think like, I, as a traumatized generational Korean woman, would like an iced latte with lavender syrup because I have worked so hard to get here where I can afford a nice latte on a Tuesday morning. Like you just don't want, and so it's one of those things of like, I just have to be in it. And if I feel like I'm messing it up on stage or something's not going right, I have to tell myself like, relax. Just like how you know yourself, if you know your character, like you know enough that you don't have to show it off on the stage. You don't have to show the the character's background on stage. It'll be they'll see, the audience will see it. Yeah. So that's what I tell myself is like, you need to chill. Relax. Like even if I seem chill, it's like internally you need to there's your brain is scrambled and you need to relax. And give yourself more credit than what you're giving yourself credit for, and just take it easy. You know it. A part of that is knowing that you did the work. But if you know you're doing the work, then I can calm down because I know what I'm talking about. It's just about communicating it without the words. Yeah.
Amazing. I feel like you might have already answered this question, but like, how much do you think you've grown as an actor and as a person, as a human, from when you first started Playhouse to now?
Yeah, that's a great question. Wait a second. I definitely feel like I've grown a lot as a creative just from, number one, going through the curriculum, actually having structure and a program to learn something, not just with Meisner, but then it opens up the channels to learn other acting techniques or other like improv techniques, for example. Because even Tony will say it in class, like all of these are a tool, like they're tools for your toolkit. And he even encourages you to like looking into other techniques because you can use all the tools, but we're all different people. So like even if all of us are using, for example, the same 5 tools, I might be using tool number 2 a little bit more than someone else just because I know it works for me. But I feel like I've definitely grown in the sense like I'm continuing to learn and like want to expand, not just within Meisner, but like also beyond it. I think I've definitely gained a lot more discipline, and that goes for acting and in life. It's like if you whatever it is that you want to pursue, yes, pursue it wholeheartedly, but like know that there's a certain direction you want to go into. Sometimes it can feel really overwhelming going into a new career that like you've never ventured into before. You're like, where do I start? But it's like, but just start somewhere. Instead of trying to do 10 things at once, just take one step at a time. Have the discipline to like build the habits first, and then the rest will follow suit. So I think I've definitely grown a lot in just like having more self-discipline. And there's a book that my partner reads, and he'll say the mantra a lot, and he'll be like, discipline equals freedom. I'm like, yes, discipline really does equal freedom. You think discipline will cage you, and it doesn't. Like, discipline instills the good habits in you where eventually it's so habitual you're not thinking about it, and that allows you to then really explore the things you want to explore in the right mindset. So learned a lot with that. And then I think the other thing that I really learned and like grew from with acting and in life, because it's so interchanged.
It is.
Or interchangeable. I really learned not to care. And like not in like a nihilistic way of like nothing matters, but I just learned not to care, if that makes sense.
No, I get it.
It don't.
It does.
Explain.
It don't? Okay, so let me break it down to you, Mikhail. Insert sound of hair swooping. I can beat myself up over not doing well in class or not doing well in a scene or not doing well in a live performance or something. I can beat myself up over it, or I can realize I don't care enough about what has just happened. All I really care about is what I can learn so that the same thing doesn't happen again. But also, I don't care. It's weird. In the beginning, I cared what people think because I wanted validation that I had some sort of talent.
Yeah.
And then now it's to the point where I'm like, oh, I don't care whether people say I'm good or not. Like, objectively, the people that I really trust in my inner circle, I do care about their opinion because I know they're saying it for my benefit. So if they are critiquing, it's not because they're trying to attack me. It's because they see that I can improve on something. And, like, I don't know about you guys, but, like, I'm not going to waste my breath on anyone who I feel like isn't going to actually listen to me or isn't capable of doing what I'm saying they could do. So I take it as a compliment to be like, oh, you think that I can really do this, and that's why you're giving me this feedback. Like, even with Tony, it's like, you're telling me this because you believe that I can actually do this. Otherwise, why bring it up?
Right.
But on the other side of that, I'm like, but I've also learned equally not to care so much where I'm trying to appeal to a certain audience or appeal to a certain person, because then, like, I'm not actually acting. My acting is controlled by what I think people are going to think about it.
Yeah.
And you can't think like that. Like, you can't feel so constrained where you can't actually act. Because we're not puppets. So we're not just going to say whatever line in exactly the way that you know, the writer, the director, whoever, like, wants you to say it. So to a certain degree, it's like I've had to learn just not to care. And that's so freeing. It's so freeing in real life too, but you gotta dial it back in real life. Like, sometimes. But actually, yeah, sometimes, because then the good thing about that is, like, I don't care about what you're saying because I know the truth and I know my truth and I'm unbothered by it and I'm gonna move on. You guys might have heard it. It was Barley Stryker's interview during the film festival when he was like, I don't care if people think that that one film that they watched where I was in was good or bad, because I'm now 4 or 5 projects, ahead,
and I'm growing,
and I've learned from that. So it's like being open to feedback and criticism and all of that, and like hearing people to that extent, but not caring so much where it cripples you, and also being like, it's not going to cripple me because I'm still working and I'm still hustling, and it doesn't matter how bad I was in that. Look at, like, what I've done since, and just knowing that it's like, you know, it's just growing pains. But yeah, I think that's sort of like what I've learned a lot is, like, just not to care so much about what people think.
I love that.
Yeah,
Love that for you.
So I love that you mentioned your partner, because that's the next question. What is it like dating a fellow actor, and how do you separate in progression in their career, like, compared to your own?
Yeah, because that's another thing. Not even, like, I never anticipated dating an actor. I never anticipated dating. It just wasn't a thing in my life. I just wasn't really, I don't know, because of the upbringing that I had a very jaded view of love and relationships. I just did. And so just to not further jade myself, I was like, I'm just not really interested in it. And that was completely okay. If I was still single now, I would be so happy. If anything, my life had so much peace when I was single. I only had myself to worry about, because no, you're right. You're like, how do you grapple with that? How do you balance that? Still trying to figure it out. I don't have the answer. But I think the number one thing is, like, you gotta really be with someone who not only believes in you, but believes in themselves. Because it's like, I'm gonna be working so hard to pursue what I feel like I'm called to do, and I am gonna hold space to support you, but I cannot give enough love to the both of us where, like, I can't sacrifice myself at the expense of you succeeding, right? Or it's like, I'll give you encouragement, but I can't coddle you so much to the point where now I'm giving more to your career than I am with mine. It's a give and take, yes, but it's finding that balance. I think for the most part it's good, just because, like, him and I, we're not, like, attached to the hip. We still work on our own projects. Once in a while, the people that we work with will overlap, just because we are in the same community. But what I do is not contingent on what he does, and vice versa. So I think there's still that separation, which is good.
That's great. Yeah.
Really, really good. And then we'll kind of do like Brian and Catherine. Actually, Brian's the one who taught us this, and I started doing this, where it's like we'll say, okay, like actor hat on, or then we'll be like, okay, like girlfriend hat on. So, like, if he's like, okay, like, how is this take or whatever for a self-tape, I'll be like, do you want my girlfriend hat or my actor hat? Because my girlfriend hat will be like, I think you're doing great, and I think maybe just take a breath, but I think you're doing great. And then the actor hat will be like, you're doing great, but maybe you can work on this specific section. Because it's like, right now, what do you need? Do you need, like, emotional support, or do you need, like, actual constructive feedback?
Right.
So, it's just, like, I think, to answer your question, it's a big thing is just communication.
Yeah.
Communication is really big. Knowing that you really got to believe in each other.
Yeah.
And then I think, in a way, it can make it difficult because now we're both struggling actors, so we're both just struggling. But also, it's good because we know exactly what we're going through. So it's not this anomaly where I'm like, I don't understand your world.
Yeah.
At least I understand what he's going through, so I know, like, oh, you're not just, like, or him to me, he'll be like, I know you're just not being moody. Like, there's a reason why you're upset about this. I'm like, thank you, because if I was dating someone who wasn't in this industry, they might think, like, well, what's the big deal? Like, okay, so just don't act in this. And you're like, I'm going to treat this like any other career, you know? So, but yeah, it's hard, but communication, really supporting, but really, really believing in each other. And just knowing that, like, we both have our best interests for each other, which I think goes for any relationship, like, not just romantic, just platonic, familial, like, knowing that that person is really rooting for you and has your back, I think helps. And I think it also helps establish good boundaries of, like, if I'm going through a rough period in acting or non-acting stuff, yes, we can both be in the same space where I can talk to you about it or, like, vent to you about it, but I'm not gonna, like, vent at you. Like, you're not gonna become my punching bag for this just because you understand it. And I shouldn't be that punching bag for you either. Because there are stressors that come with this lifestyle. And a lot of times, if you're not going to therapy, you're like, who can I talk about this with? And it can start off as like, oh, I'm just ranting about my day or complaining about this because you know what this is about. But then eventually, like, now all of a sudden you're, like, kind of unintentionally taking it out on the person, and you're like, whoa, I didn't do this. Like, I get the situation, but I didn't do this. So, like, let's establish the boundary and, like, communicate of, like, okay, right now, do you just need someone to listen to, or do you need someone to also, like, rally you and be like, well, this is what we need to do. And if it's not those two things, and it's just you now trying to, like, you know, release steam, then we're gonna end the conversation. But yeah, it's really knowing your having a communicating about boundaries, and then supporting each other. A lot easier said than done. But I'm also learning. I'm learning.
Something you said earlier made me feel like you said you didn't really have an interest in dating or being in a relationship earlier.
Yeah.
But you sound so mature and, like, well aware of what's going on in the
That's
relationship.
trauma, baby.
That's trauma?
That's trauma. Like, it's, you know, it sucks when you're, and I don't just speak for myself because I see this in, like, the youth now, but, like, it really sucks when you see a little kid who mentally, emotionally has, like, the wisdom of, like, a 50-year-old, but they're still in a little kid's body and they still have a little kid brain. They don't, so it's like you have the wisdom, but you don't have the emotional intelligence. Because for you to have the emotional intelligence, your brain has to develop to a certain point where you've gone through it to understand it. You know it objectively, you know it logically. And I think growing up, just because of the way that I view the world based off of things that happen either to me or around me, I don't know how to quite explain it, but, like, from that, I was like, I believe in love, and I believe there's love in the world, but I don't know if I want to open that can of worms, especially when I spent so long trying to then protect my peace, and I felt like I was in a really good place with it. I was like, I don't want to disturb this now. Like, I found a good place where, like, I can make amends with the people in my past. I can make amends for the people that I've hurt in the past. And I have a good system going. And if I bring someone else into that who I don't know, who comes with their own baggage, like, because we all come with our own baggage. So it's like, do I want to, selfishly, do I have the emotional maturity and, like, capacity to deal with that? I don't, like, because then it's like, I don't want to just get into a relationship just because I like the person or just because I'm attracted to them if I know I'm not in a good headspace, or I know I don't want to deal with your baggage. And it might sound selfish because it's like, oh, you have your own baggage, why don't you want to deal with someone else's? I'm like, no, I fully understand how selfish that sounds, but I think what's more selfish is then convincing yourself that you still want to be in a relationship knowing you can't be what the other person, like, needs you to be. So yeah, I just didn't really have an interest, and growing up, like, I knew it existed, but I just thought it's just not really for me. And I kept dealing with a lot of stuff also as I got older, where it was never in the forefront in my mind. Like in high school, when it was during the time where you would think like, oh, so-and-so has a crush on you, I was dealing with like stepdad drama at home. So it just wasn't really something I was focusing on also. So it sounds like an excuse, but a lot of it was like, I just didn't have time to think about it. And then getting into acting, you're like, oh gosh, career change, I really don't have time to think about it. But funny story, the only reason why, I don't want to say the only reason why we got together, but the only reason why the opportunity even happened where it got to any romantic place was because we had a mutual friend who, and I thought him and my partner now had a thing, because I guess like one had a crush on the other, and I thought, oh, okay, they're just gonna be together. So I was lulled into a false sense of like security of like, I can hang around this dude because he's not interested in women. And then we don't officially, I think now we officially set one, but for the longest time we did not have an anniversary date because we were not on the same page about when we actually started dating. Because his idea of when we started dating was like months before I thought we were dating. Because I was like, I thought you were gay. We were at Spring Garden. We were at the diner after like class one day, I think to talk about script stuff. I forget what it was about. We were there to talk about something. And then he was like, yeah, I want to be really intentional with you. Like, I don't have any interest in, like, pursuing anyone else. And, like, I want you to know, like, this is where I'm at and all that. And it took me a while. Like, I didn't get it. I didn't get it. So I was, like, looking at him. And then, like, not even a question. I said it as a statement, y'all. I was like, but you're gay. And then he just looked at me. He started laughing because he thought I was joking, but my face was still like this, like so dumb looking. I was like, yeah. And then and he's like, wait, are you serious? I was like, are you not gay? And then he's like, are you serious? I was like, it's okay if you are. And then he's like, no, I'm not. I was like, not even a little bit? He's like, oh my gosh, I'm not. Like, and he was like, no. And he was like, nothing wrong. He was like, nothing wrong with being gay. And then he was like, is it because I'm in theater? I go, no, it's not because you're in theater. It's not because you're in the arts. And then he was like, wait, so how long did you think I was gay? And I was like, until now.
Oh my gosh.
And then he's like playing back all the moments we went on these so-called dates, and he was like, oh my gosh, like it makes so much sense. Because there was one day we went to go see a play, and I remember thinking, oh, he's a little bit more dressed up, and I was wearing like jeans and a sweater. And I'm thinking back in that time, and I'm like, oh my gosh. I was like, why did you still say yes to all these so-called dates after if you think I didn't care? And he's like, I don't know. He's like, you're you. Like, I don't know.
He was accepting you for who you were.
Yes, or who he thought I was, I guess.
Write this?
Huh?
Are you guys gonna write?
We're
You
making
should.
it's like I think it's like a 2-3 minute film we're
Yeah.
gonna make
Yeah.
just from this because
Yeah.
Yeah.
it was so like it was just such a
What was it about him that made you think he was gay?
it was a total misunderstanding that like one of our mutual friends was talking about him and it like I had assumed that like there was something going on between the two of them, that like they were talking with each other. So I just thought like, okay, he's talking about how he has a crush on him and like they're flirting or whatever, so I guess they might be a thing or whatever. That was it. That was literally the only thing. And then because I was so not in the mindset of like dating or even really being interested in anyone, I didn't look into it any further. Like I was like, okay, that is what it is. That's fine. He's a friend and he's nice. He's nice to me. What do you want in a guy? I want someone who's nice to me, even when they're not feeling nice.
Yeah.
And so like that's why I just never really thought twice about it. That's why I thought he was, but that's also why I didn't think twice about it. I was just like, okay, it just is. Like, they have something, and that's cute, and we're all hanging out amongst, like, mutual friends. And, yeah, and then I come to find out later that he isn't. And it's funny because I'll tell him, I'm like, I wasn't 100% sure if you were gay, but I was, like, 100% sure that you were bi. Like, or, like, what is it? Like, not bi, pansexual, where you just love everybody. Yeah, because he does. He loves love. He's like, sometimes I feel like our roles are switched where like physical appearance wise, I do look a little bit like, just like feminine, and he looks a little bit more like stereotypically masculine. But personality wise, it's completely flipped, where like he'll complain about, like he'll want to rant about something and I'll be very solution oriented and I'll be like, well, why don't you just try this? And he'll be like, sometimes he's like, sometimes I just wish you would just listen. And he's like, I know you're just trying to help, but like sometimes I just want someone who's gonna listen to me. And I'm like, oh shoot, I'm the dude. Because I'm just thinking like, well, just fix it. And he's like, oh, I just want to share my feelings. I'm like, oh, okay. So the roles are like
There's nothing
reversed.
funny about guys having feelings, Darren.
No, nothing
it's
at all.
not.
It's
It's
great.
nothing at all. And
Yeah,
it's,
no.
it's a beautiful thing that I've learned because I've been around so many, like, stereotypical male figures who felt like they had to puff up their chests and be all machismo and be like, I'm a man, and not knowing that, like, being a man is so many different things, just like how being a woman is so many different things. And, like, people, because it's better now, the society now is a little bit better, but, like, our time growing up, even in grade school, middle school, high school, it was very taboo for a guy to share his feelings and to be vulnerable or to even be interested in theater, because, people might think, like, oh, what, you're gay? And I'm like, that's so, like, I'm like, why? Like, why?
I know.
But,
So simple-minded.
You wouldn't believe it, but I get that too sometimes.
Really?
I know.
Really?
Crazy. Had a few situations.
I
Same
just
thing.
like how you said crazy and all of us were just silent, like, like, is it crazy? I'm like,
guys are
not thinking
jerks.
that. Like,
Next question.
I have the next question.
you know what
Do
I'll
you?
say really quick though, what I was shocked about was
No.
was that how many kids you have, because you look so young. I thought if
yes, I
anything,
did.
like your children were your siblings or something. I
You
never
know what?
thought.
I took my daughter to get braces. We were in like Elizabeth, New Jersey, and it was all these fine ass like nurse practitioners and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And we were like getting the next appointment for her, and this was when I was a little thinner, so I looked even extra younger. But they thought I was like her older brother.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And I was like, yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah.
I don't really like it when people point it out because I don't do anything.
No, you're just you.
I
You're
just wash my
existing.
face
Yeah.
at most. And I don't know how long I will have this face for. I could wake up tomorrow and look 50.
Yeah.
So I don't want to get like cocky and be like, oh yeah, I look younger than I am. Also, sometimes people talk down to you.
Yeah.
They do. Oh,
That's
they
true.
do.
They do.
And it'd be
Yeah.
like, I'm older than you,
Yeah.
buddy.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sweetheart, darling, I
Yeah.
can't stand. I
Sweetheart.
can't stand sweetheart. I can't stand it. I'm like, please, I'm not your sweetheart. You don't do it.
Yeah.
No disrespect, but if an old white senior lady calls me sweetheart, we got a problem. Because it's never just oh sweetheart. It's like, oh sweetheart. And I'm like, I'm like,
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
No.
I'm not a fan.
I had somebody explain to me what Blockbuster was once.
Oh.
He's like, oh yeah, back in our day, we had this. And I was like, motherfucker.
I'm like, I was
my
back
God.
there with you.
Yeah. I let him finish.
Yeah.
I let him finish, and then I was like, actually, I'm older than you.
Yes,
Oh
yes.
my God.
I was at a retreat. I was their counselor, and the pastor was like, "How are you enjoying?" It was weird. She was like, "How are you enjoying the retreat?" I was like, "Oh yeah, it's good." They're like, "Yeah, you making friends?" And I was like, "Oh no, I'm the counselor." I was like, "I'm not the kid in the group. I'm the counselor."
Oh my
And
God.
she's like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry." And in my mind, I'm thinking, but also, like, the kids I'm watching are 7th grade. Like, they're 12.
Yeah,
You
so
don't have
what
to
are you
talk to-
saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't talk to me like
Yeah.
that. Sorry, I didn't mean to go off on a tangent.
I like your.
But
Is that Winnie the Pooh?
giddy up.
Love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where's his shirt? He's extra naked.
But he has on a hat.
Yeah,
well,
on
so
a
he's
hat,
not
you know,
extra
yeah.
naked.
Exactly.
He's wearing a hat.
It's a fit.
His
Yeah.
head
Yes,
is
it is.
covered.
I
His head
love
is
it.
covered. Yeah.
All right. Before we get too far away from this conversation,
Yes.
how do you and your partner handle having intimate roles with other actors?
Oh, I don't yell like that. Wow. You know what? This is gonna sound like such a fake answer. We don't have any issues with it. We really don't. If anything, sometimes the opposite issue is that I love to insert myself in it. Where like he had this like original play last year where he was acting alongside Pratika in class. And there's a part where they go in for like this really, it's like the climactic point of the play in like the second or third act, and like they finally kiss, right? So it's this like big climactic moment. And I remember after the show, he was like, "Oh, like were you okay with that? Were you comfortable? Like it
After?
wasn't like afterwards." He's like, "It wasn't too much," because I knew in advance going into it that there was going to be that scene. But also I know Pratika, so I was like, "That's fine." But he's also done this with like people that I don't know, and you know we've just communicated like, "Yeah, there's a scene," and I'll be like, "All right, good luck with it." But it's funny because afterwards he'll be nervous. He'll be like, "Are you okay? Like, did you feel uncomfortable?" And I was like, I felt very uncomfortable with the fact that you didn't go in for it. Like, I'm like, I said, "You're an actor first." And I was like, that kiss was unbelievable. I was like, that's the climactic point. You guys have been like, it's the whole like, will they, won't they? And it's like they're kind of teetering, and then it's like the chemistry, and then and then you finally go in for the kiss, and you don't even like grab her by the waist. I was like, I need you to like grab her. Like, I need you to just like one arm, just pull her in and like just like land one on her, you know? And he's like, yeah. I was like, yeah, like fully commit to it. Like, my thing was like, if you're gonna act and you're gonna act with someone who you have to have an intimate scene with, like, don't be in your head about it, because then I'm like, well, now you're thinking too much as yourself. If you're really in it, you know, respectfully within the boundaries and everything, with in consideration with the partner, like, I'm like, no, I love it, because I know that you're really just doing it for the role. And also, I feel like a big thing of it is like, you just got to trust that a big thing is just initially the trust factor. You got to trust that their intentions are to act first, and they didn't just accept the role or get into acting to have intimate scenes with other people. But that I feel like you kind of initially sort of know based off of just knowing the person. And like, I think you guys all know him. I was like, I'm not trying to be coy. I just don't want to say the name because I embarrass him. But you guys know him, and he's so much about the craft first. And that was the thing I did like, was he was one of the more like respectful people at the school, where like a lot of women actually felt trusting enough to, you know, come to him if they had an issue with someone else. Which I thought was like green flag, like, okay, you know, like you're a solid person that women can feel like they can be comfortable around you and know that there's no like motive, you know, ulterior motive. So basically, to answer your question of how to combat that, I don't really have the answer, because I think fortunately enough, we don't really have an issue with that. I think the big thing though, if I needed to say something, was like, know the person well enough and have enough faith in the person that their intentions going in are purely for the craft and for acting. Make sure you communicate. Don't just assume the person's okay with it, or assume the person knows that there is or isn't an intimate scene. So like, be attentive and be considerate, but a lot of it is like I have to make room and give grace and have faith that, like, if that's what he's saying is the intention, is just for the craft of it, then that's what it is. Until I witness or see or hear, whatever, until I see otherwise, that's what I'm gonna, believe, and vice versa. So if anything, I think it makes it better, because if I'll do the opposite, I'll very much be like, you need to fully commit to it, because I look at it through the lens of an actor and not a girlfriend. And like, there's a scene where he's like, trying to tussle her. I'm like, you gotta pick her up, and he's playing Stanley in A Streetcar Named Desire next month.
Oh my god.
Yes, and there's a scene where he lifts his partner, and I'm totally forget Stella. Yes, Stella. And so where he lifts her up, and he was like, today, like, I did a thing where I just, like, I picked her up, and I was thinking of picking her up with one arm, and I was like, do the one arm, just lift her up, hold her close, get, like, forehead to forehead. Like, I was like, I need to see the chemistry, because I'll be offended if you don't. I'll be offended if you don't, because then because also that's going to build resentment. If someone says they had an issue with the intimacy, and they say, oh, you need to work on it, I don't want him to come back to me and be like, well, I was trying to reserve myself out of respect for you, when I said, no, go ahead and do it. Like, I'm not going to be held responsible for that either. So it's, I
think also, like, being in a relationship and somebody saying, like, I'm not okay with you having intimate scenes, that kind of, like, restricts you, because why are you doing it? I did meet somebody who was attending Playhouse West, and she had her first scene, and it was like an intimate scene, and she's like, my boyfriend isn't okay with this, and I'm like, okay. And she's not there anymore, which is understandable. So I think it's crazy. Cool that you guys have that.
And it helps again that we're both actors, because I don't know how do you navigate that when your partner doesn't know this industry or this career path? Like, they know that there can be intimate scenes because they've seen movies, right? But like, translating that to a partner that they're in a relationship with is very different. I mean, the only thing I can say with that really is, like, then give them exposure. Take them out to different sort of plays or things that, like, even people in your community are doing. Or if you're in a play where there's not an intimate scene first, like, still, like, encourage them to come out, because the more and more they become desensitized to it and know what goes on in the behind the scenes, the more they understand, like, you're more worried about the technical aspect of the kiss than you are with the kiss itself.
For sure.
And so, like, it's then for a partner who isn't in this career field, it's giving them enough grace where it's, well, who knows? It also depends on the person. Some people are just controlling. But assuming that you're with someone who is respectful and isn't trying to control you, assume that they just don't know. So it's not to say that it's your job, but you can't hold them accountable for something that they don't understand. So help them understand, give them that grace, and hopefully they'll want to understand. And they'll see and take your word for what it is, and then you can only kind of hope for the best from there.
Trust,
It's
really important.
But I don't know, that's tough. That's really tough.
So, outside of acting, what is your favorite role on set? And what do you enjoy about it?
I'm sorry.
Ooh.
What?
My stomach just...
Why were you
guys
laughing
hear it?
before?
But I was laughing because the question says favorite position. And I was like, who's reading this? But okay, sorry. Go ahead.
I heard a sound, but I thought it was like another sound from...
Like, edit that out? Because what the hell was that?
It was just
I'm not hungry.
Digestion noises,
Get it together.
I was afraid my stomach was gonna grumble like before or after this too, because my stomach is louder when it digests than when it's hungry. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not about to like, I'm not about to just cry my pants. Like it's just digesting. Nah, we adults.
Being in the preparation room, it was always
somebody.
grumblings.
For sure.
I would be sweating bullets. I'd be like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, what am I sorry for? If anything, like, pity me. I haven't eaten anything for 3 hours. Because this was before we had the green room downstairs. Like, I was there before they had the whole basement. So, like, before you really couldn't bring any food in. Like, or you had to step outside. And I was like, this is torture. I can't emotionally prepare because I'm too hungry. And I'm too conscious of, because at the time I cared more about what people thought. I was like, I care more about, you know, what is this person going to think of me when at most they're going to think she's hungry.
Starving artist.
Yes. What was the question that you said? Outside of Playhouse?
Yes, or outside of just acting. What's your favorite role on set, and what do you enjoy about it?
I PA'd for a lot, so I think in terms of, I don't know on like bigger sets, but with student films, I like being the PA. I do. Because, like, at least for me, when I've done, was maybe like in charge of a student film, and I was asking people to PA, I would always feel really bad because I'm like, you're not always going to have stuff to do, but also you're essential because when we do need an extra hand, like, you're right there. And, like, and so I like being the assurance for people of, like, I'm fully voluntarily dedicating my time to be here. And whether you put me to work or whether I'm sitting around, like, I'm going to enjoy the process, and I don't want you to feel bad that I'm, like, quote-unquote wasting my time, because I'm not. I know what this role is, and I'm here to help. So, and I think that makes it more enjoyable, because then I can just kind of see what everyone's doing. And then selfishly, when I make my own film, I'm like, okay, who's good at what? Because, like, someone could be a really great actor, but the majority of us are actors first. So, like, any extra skill you have after is a bonus. It's not, like, a requirement. And then aside from that, I don't like that I'm good at this. This is about to sound like a humble brag, but truly, I don't like that I'm good at this, but I am, because it bleeds into my 9-to-5 work. I am good at producing. I am. Just organization-wise, keeping things in order, making sure there's communication, making sure all the boxes are checked. I am good with that. But I don't like that I am, because in the long term, I'm not trying to just, like, produce. Not even my own films, but just, like, other people's films, just produce films in general. But I am good at it. And then what I do really love to do, and I've been doing a little bit more, is just helping out with the art direction. Not as far as, like, production design. Like, I know y'all know Liz, and I feel like she's really great at that. And I don't think I really have enough experience with that realm. But art direction in terms of, like, wardrobe, makeup, or, like, special effects makeup, just things like that, I think are pretty cool, because wardrobe really tells a lot with the story, and you can have a lot more creative freedom with it. So I feel like that's maybe when I have the most fun on set with, like, a slightly bigger role. But I don't know. Again, it sounds like a fake answer, but I do really like just going on as a PA. I like being the person that's, like, not necessarily required, but when you do need them, they come in clutch.
The PA is a wonderful position to observe.
Yes. Because you have enough responsibilities, but you also have enough downtime to see what else. Like, you can see the full picture and see what's going on, and you can still get involved with everyone when they need your help. You know, but you don't need to insert yourself, and it's better if you don't, because sometimes it can be more stressful. You get in the way if you're trying to do too much. Have you guys had? Sorry, I mean to cut off. No. Just like, because I know you guys have worked on a lot of films separately and with each other. Is there anything that you guys found that you're like, oh, I have a knack for this, or oh, I really like this, compared to acting? Or realistically, are you like, no, I think I think my best is just acting.
I mean, I don't know that I'm good at it yet, but I do really like DPing. That's fun for me. Like, I enjoy doing that.
Yeah,
Other
that's
than
cool.
acting. I mean, if I'm not going to be in it, I would love to control how it looks.
Yeah.
Because it matters. My
Seeing the
goodness.
vision.
Yes.
Yeah.
When you see good movement in a
Mhm.
film and it adds to the story, like, because it adds to the story.
It does.
Yeah.
So
I
that
love
it is
movement.
another like it's another way of not acting but telling the story. So
Yeah.
that's cool.
I really like editing. Yeah.
Editing.
Love it. I can just sit there and just.
I commend you. There's such a editing's a whole
Yeah.
piece.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
I really like it. Just. Yeah.
Is that something that you fell into sort of accidentally, or did you go in with the intention of like I want to learn how to edit?
No, accidentally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I. How to say it? Like, yeah. It just was accidental, like watching, because in the end the editor tells a story and I learned that by editing.
Yeah.
And so just watching like shows like Monk and the Golden Girls, like how they'll tell like a joke twice before they, you know, it's like a whole thing. But I wanted to learn how to do that and stuff, and so I was able to do it and then kind of discover why it doesn't work and how to make it work. And yeah, so I hope I get more projects to work on.
Yeah.
To edit?
Yeah, I love editing.
Uh-huh.
The
I
color
know.
correction
It's a separate
stuff.
beast,
Yeah.
yeah.
The color correction stuff I can't really handle because I'm discovering that color correcting is different from like color correcting a photo.
Yes. Yes.
But
yeah.
yeah, I'll love to edit any. Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah. So I hate editing.
I love.
I was
it.
so stressed doing this stupid foodie call thing. I would
stupid
like.
foodie
let me
calls
just
that you guys won
Stupid.
awards for.
No, I did another edit of it, like a
Oh.
final edit, because that was a rushed copy.
For to get it submitted in
Yeah.
time. Oh.
That was like all the audio we used was from the camera on that. I didn't even have time to like run it through the boom and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So the final edit is a little longer, but I feel like the momentum is a lot better. But to
Can you
answer your
send that to
question,
me? I still haven't seen that one.
you haven't?
Yeah.
I don't have no Wi-Fi.
Okay. Airdrop.
AirDrop, yeah.
All I'm hearing are excuses.
I would say
Yeah.
positions that I enjoy other than acting is directing. I probably am starting to feel like I might be a director first
That's cool. That's a cool discovery.
because I feel less anxious
Yeah.
when I'm like doing the directing than I do when I'm like performing,
Yeah.
because it is nerve-wracking for me. I'm like full of nerves. I'm like unsure of myself, and the worst thing, and I know it sounds weird, but the worst thing is when people be like, "Oh, that was such a great performance," but I don't feel like I
Yeah.
got an understanding of what the character was.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
whatever I'm doing, I'm stumbling into it.
Yes.
But I don't want to stumble all my life. I want to understand how
You
to
want
do
to
this.
understand that because then also you're like, wow, if people really mean it when they say they liked my performance with something that I felt like I was stumbling through, how much better would it be if I wasn't stumbling
Yeah.
through it?
Yeah.
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 So that, but also DPing. But these are things that I realized I had like an old memory unlocked where I was driving in a car and it dawned on me, like I did this back in high school. Like I was in a TV video class and I was very talented with the directing and also the editing, but also cameraman and like all this other stuff. And we went to a competition one year, but we got second place, but there was no first place awarded. And the only reason they don't award the first place is because the first place move on to regionals. So it was kind of like a bittersweet thing. Like we
Yeah.
were second to none, but we don't advance.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, this thing has been in me for a long time.
Yeah.
Like,
You have that itch.
yeah.
Yeah.
So sometimes it makes me feel better. Like, okay, just got to keep going until something breaks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it
Hopefully
will.
be a breakthrough.
I think we're all like in a really, really good space where we make or where we create our own lane, right?
Yeah.
And it's gonna happen. It's gonna be good.
Oh, for sure. I tell a lot of people that I've met in and out of a Playhouse, but it's like, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Because the people that you see just are really in it. And I don't mean just really in it with acting, but just very well-rounded, hardworking, and naturally talented, but kind people. I'm like, that's a triple threat. And you're gonna, like, you're going places. And it's just a matter of when your time is. But if it's not now, but, like, it's definitely a matter of when we all see each other again. You know? Just on a different scale. But, because you just, and that's the other thing that I've learned, too. It's not just about, it's working hard, but also working smart. There, you can have a natural talent for something, you can work really hard in it, but also, are you tolerable to be around?
Right. Yeah.
You know, like, how many people did I decide in my mind subconsciously that, like, okay, I like them as an actor, I think they're super talented, but I just think it's just a little bit too difficult to work with them, just personality-wise. I feel like maybe they're a little bit condescending, not necessarily to me, but, like, to other people. Maybe they're not condescending to me because, like, they know that I worked on this other big project, but I don't like that even more because I'm like, so you're only, then it's a choice of who you decide to give your treatment, like, you know, it's preferential treatment. So it's like, if you are naturally talented, great. If you're not naturally talented but you work really hard at it and you're really great at it, even better. And then if you're a decent, like, kind human being, like, triple threat. Triple threat. When can I, please let me work with you? I don't, paid or unpaid, PA or DP or whatever it is. Like, I want to work with good people. I want to work on something good that's with good people, so even when it comes out, I can be happy with what's out, right? Who cares how great the end product is if I know the whole process behind it was a train wreck. Not a train wreck in terms of, like, you know, obstacles that come up, but train wreck as in, like, everyone hated each other. Like, I don't want that, you know? It's not worth it. Like, it's so much of it is, like, you hear it all the time, but it's, like, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. So much of it is that. It's, like, we're also getting to the age where it's, like, my mental health is affected by, like, my mental health and my physical health are intertwined. If I'm surrounded by bad energy, bad people, or if I myself am bringing bad energy, then that affects my physical health. I will physically get sick, and I will not be able to get out of bed. It's just, it's so intertwined now that I'm like, if I'm trying to pursue this and see longevity in it, then, like, I need to surround myself with a good community that has their best interests out for you, and you have their best interests out for them. It really does make or break, like, a great performance or a great film or whatever it is, whatever product you're like a great podcast, right? It just, who you surround yourself with is really, really important. And I think, not that you asked this, but just going back to the other question that you asked of, like, what kind of things, like, did I learn from this or grow from acting and outside of acting, is, like, who you surround yourself with is so important, and the kind of person that you want to be, and that, like, you know, am I the type of person that people want to surround themselves with? And if I'm not, what can I do to be better? You know, so,
you know, I just want to say something. This feels so good, and it's so insightful. And I'm so sorry that I have to do this, but I have to break this up for a little bit. I have to break the mood up a little bit.
You have to. Oh, sorry.
How many times you gonna smell this thing before you realize you ain't want to eat it? That's what my face was.
No. I clocked it, and I was like, should I acknowledge this? I was like, I know we all go to a school that's, like, be present and say things in the moment, but, like, this is my first time on this podcast. Am I allowed to just call someone out?
Absolutely.
Because I was like, why is he still sniffing it?
I didn't sniff it the second time.
Yes, you sniffed it.
I'm trying to decide if I like it.
3 times. Then he bit into it.
Thank you so much for acknowledging that.
Oh my God.
No, I thought you thought I was making faces at you. No, I was making faces at him because I didn't know you saw it.
He sniffed it. Did you see what I just saw?
He sniffed it 3 times. Then he bit into it, and then his face was like,
Y'all
I
don't
don't
pay
like
attention
this.
to me because I sniff everything before I eat anything.
When?
All the time.
3 times?
Yeah, maybe.
So let's move on because I want to ask a rude question.
This
but
is
we
weird. Like, it tastes like syrup, but it's not. You
So
said it's honey?
It's honey syrup.
What is it?
I don't know.
It's a
it's weird.
gulab
jamun.
jamun.
Here,
it's
eat
like
one.
a donut, I think, or is it?
I
a
hope you
cheese
like
ball?
it.
I have a very particular taste. I don't like everything.
So, we talked about.
Cheers.
Oh.
Let's see.
It's too wet. I
Well-
also don't like textures.
You pushing for me to ask this question. Like, you're pushing for me to ask this question, but I'm gonna keep it nice and professional. Okay.
I can see maybe why you have a texture thing with this, but it's really good. So,
It makes my eyes hurt. Let me try it.
maybe because you keep putting it into your face 3 times. I don't think you're supposed to waft it in your face 3 times.
Right.
You guys,
As he
stop!
deliberates.
Think
Cut
of
it
it
out.
as a munchkin dipped in like simple syrup.
It
Think
tastes
of it
like a
like that.
pancake that's been saturated with syrup.
Exactly. What's the
It's gonna be
issue?
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
You like it?
It's too much.
I love this whole spread. This is amazing, and I wasn't able to say it as soon as we started recording. And I'm sorry, I'm talking with my mouth
You put the
full.
whole thing in your mouth?
Yes, I did. I don't regret it, but I did what I did. But no, amazing spread. You guys have been really amazing, and the food is so good.
Yay.
Oh, I'm happy.
Yeah.
Very happy.
But
So, you said it's not a matter of if. It's a matter of when we'll see each other again. It's just going to be like on a different scale, right? So when we get to that point, what impact would you want your acting to be like? Like, what, well, have, not be like, but what impact would you want your acting to have on, like, others?
Whew. I don't think I ever really thought in depth about the impact other than, I guess, whether it's with just a random audience member who doesn't know me or someone who does know me. It's like, number one, they don't consciously think, oh, it's Julianne,
Yeah.
you know? But I think the impact is like, oh, they really care about this story and telling it, and they really care about the subject. They really care about sending a message out. Even if it ends up being like a horror flick, right? It's like they really enjoy it and they're doing what they love. And I think that might not be the maybe initial answer that I guess actors would have, because then I feel like the initial answer is like, I want people to see that I'm trying to make a difference in the world, and it's like, I don't know about that, but like me being an Asian American, I see a lot more Asian American actors nowadays. But I also know, understandably, just because a lot of our parents are immigrants and sacrifice a lot to survive and to create opportunities for us here in the States, that a lot of even just like, I can't speak for like all Asians, but even within like the Korean community that I grew up with, a lot of people were like, including myself, we were like, you know, we're so thankful for all the sacrifices that our parents made that we don't want to take that for granted. And we want to make sure they know that we appreciate all the efforts and the sacrifices that they did make, because they had to give up their dreams and what they wanted to do to survive and do what they have to do so that we can choose what we want to do. And I think sometimes then the children, i.e. me, that conflates with like, okay, what we want, what we now have the ability to just pursue, but also now what we feel like we're obligated to do because we know our parents sacrificed. And so a lot of times, a lot of people that I know, they went into really, really great career paths, like, you know, like being a doctor or a nurse or a lawyer or like a PA or like all these things, like really, really amazing things. And they do love what they do. But also there's a part of them where I'm like, oh, but I know you love to sing. Or it's like, I know you really have like a passion for pottery or just creating something with your hands, or you just want to work on a farm even, right? But they're not going to pursue it because they feel obligated to really make the most out of the situation their parents provided for them. And so I bring this up in relation to this question because I think in terms of the impact, it's like even seeing someone who's Korean or Asian American be in an art medium, even just seeing them in it, I know for me, like growing up, it's not about like, oh, I saw myself in them. It's just more of like, they were able to pursue this. Like, they felt like they could do this, and they didn't feel guilt about like not pursuing a really stable career path that our parents originally envisioned us to being in, and like sacrificing themselves for. That's pretty cool. And their parents still talk with them. And so, like, I think, you know, what kind of message or impact, or like, you know, what would I want to have as an actor, like, aside from the storytelling, it's just showing like, oh, you really still can pursue something that you really love, and you don't have to feel like you're obligated to what you think you want your parents want. Because you might think what your parents want are to go into this very stable, like, 9-to-5 career, or a high-paying, like, 6-figure job or whatever. And that's what's going to make them happy. But also, again, they did what they needed to do so that you could do what you want to do. And so you also shouldn't waste that opportunity in that sense. And I think seeing someone who looks like me, you know, and knowing that maybe there's a similar story, seeing that like they're pursuing something that they really love and enjoy, I think already is so much, it's so inspiring. At least it was for me growing up when I saw like Asian Americans in film, or not even Asian Americans, but just minorities. Like I'm like, just the minorities. And so I think if I can create a similar impact, or I can inspire someone else to be like, oh, I don't have to be so afraid of pursuing this, or feel like I'm failing my family, or, you know, jokes, you know, the jokes of like dishonoring my family. Like, if I don't feel that, and I feel like I can fully pursue what I want to do, or that my parents can be behind supporting that, even if it takes them a while to come around to it, I think that's the bigger thing, is like, if I can touch someone else's life, or if I can touch someone else's life for them to be able to pursue what they want to pursue, whether it's acting or something completely different, but it opens their eyes to know that they don't have to just be stuck in something because they felt like they need to appease their family, then I think I did a pretty darn good job. So that's hopefully the impact that I have, aside from just like being able to tell a good story. But yeah, just helping people realize that they can give themselves permission to do what they want to do. Because, life is so fleeting. It's so fleeting.
And short.
And so, my grandmother right now, like, you know, she's going through it. Like, she recently got diagnosed with, like, pretty severe dementia. And, like, she, you know, she hasn't passed yet, but, like, her memory is even just fleeting so much now, where I'm like, and it happens so suddenly because she is at an older age, where once something happens, it doesn't take long for everything else to just... And so, you know, we're trying to be there the best we can for her, but it also just made me realize, like, man, because we don't think about that in the day-to-day. We think about the errands we need to run, and the bills we need to pay, and all the stuff we need to do, and you forget to take a step back to be like, this is really one life that we have, and it's not to put you in a spiral or to panic. It's to say, like, the conditions for you to even be born are already such a miracle. Like, don't take that for granted. Really, really, like, don't live your day like it's your last, because that's really reckless. But, like, understand that life is fleeting. And so, like, today is the day, right? The worst case scenario of trying something out and it not working out is that you just go back to the life you had before, which isn't bad, right? Like, worst case scenario, you just keep doing what you're doing. But, like, best case scenario, something works out and now you're on a different, you know, path, and then something even better that you could have never even conjured up in your mind will happen, because a lot of it is not what you just put in, but, like, also what the universe wants for you. And so, just, like, it's so, and I hate to sound so, like, woo-woo, but but acting really brings that out, because, like, you really start thinking about your own mortality, because you think about the lives of these characters in the plays or in the films, and you're like, man, life is so fleeting. Like, I can't take it for granted. I really can't. And even when things are really, really tough, I have to still find things that or people that I'm, you know, like, really grateful for, and just really make the most out of it, if not for anyone else and for myself, because you deserve to be kind to yourself and to try something out that you've been itching to try. You know? Easier said than done.
But facts.
Julianne, what does success in your craft looks like to you?
Success. I think about that a little bit. Do you guys have an answer to that question?
It's your turn.
But I need a break. I need to sip my wine, Michael Taylor.
You're not the first guest to turn that question around on us. We've answered it many times.
So refresh my memory then. What does success in acting,
In your craft.
in my craft, look like?
Could be acting, could be life.
Could
It's
be
up to you.
life. I guess just finding fulfillment in it.
Mm-hmm.
Just finding fulfillment in it.
Yeah.
Because, like, you can give yourself a definition of, like, what success means and what it means to, like, succeed in something and what it means to fail in something. But I think if I find fulfillment in what I'm doing, no matter how much I suck in it or how well I do in it, then it's not performance-based.
Yeah.
I can still feel like I've succeeded in something even if I'm not at the fullest potential with it yet.
Yeah.
Like on the side, I was in a pretty bad car accident years ago, and then I started doing like pole fitness. It's like pole dance, but it's more acrobatic. And so I started doing that to like regain a lot of my physical strength like a few years ago. And
Pole fitness?
yeah, I do like tricks and stuff.
That's amazing.
So wait, why did you decide after a car accident to go swing from a pole?
Because I wanted something that was going to work me out, but something a little bit more unconventional where it gave me incentive to keep going, because I do get bored easily. And I know that about myself, and it's not always a good thing, but I know that about myself. So it's like, I need something that I think is interesting. I need something that I actually can get fit from, because you get abs, you get shoulders, you get abs, you get like back, it's a workout. If you're really, really going for like the acrobatic aspect of it, it can be a workout. So I was like, I need something that I also just will work me out, is interesting, and something that I can see physical progression with. Because like me trying to even just lift myself on a pole, like I couldn't do that for months. And then I went from that to like, oh, now I can do a shoulder mount where I flip up into an invert, whatever. And I would have never thought that I was someone who could do that. Wow. But, with acting, sometimes maybe it's hard to tell. Sometimes you can tell if you have a recording of like how maybe you used to act before and like seeing the progression. But with a lot of things, even like, for example, if you're trying to get healthier or whatever and you start going to the gym, like sometimes it can be really hard to see results. And mind you, it's not about gaining weight or losing weight, because that looks different for everyone, because health is different for everyone. But however it means where you want to get healthier, like sometimes it's hard to see in the day-to-day, like the progress. But with pole, you notice it, because you go from not being able to pull yourself up to being able to pull yourself up. So I was like, I need something where it's incentivizing, because I can see myself improve. Also, because like after the pandemic, I was going through physical therapy during the pandemic. And then afterwards, I was like, well, I can't afford to keep going back to physical therapy. And I like running, but that's more of like a mental stress relief than a physical. So I started like getting into that. But that being said, I still found fulfillment in that even when I was terrible. Because I was like, I'm just enjoying what I'm doing, and I'm enjoying the process of learning. And so if I can find fulfillment in that, then it doesn't matter whether I can invert or spin or I can only lift myself up for like 2 seconds. I'm enjoying the process. And so I think that day was a success, In the same way with acting, like, okay, maybe I wasn't my best today, but did I learn what I needed to learn to get better? Did I still enjoy my time? Was I able to even take this time to act? Yes. So I think the day was a success, and because I found fulfillment in it. So
Lovely.
Yeah.
Well, we've reached that time. I feel like you've given so much.
I would suggest.
I don't know how many more words of encouragement you could give.
I'll give the opposite then. Life sucks. You got so many bills to pay. They keep coming. Oh gosh. it really is true what they say. Like, mo money, mo problems.
Yeah.
When I have more money, I find myself having more problems. But then when I don't have enough money, then it becomes too expensive to be poor. There's a middle ground, and
Just trying to shoot for that.
yeah. That's the one area of my life where I'm like, I will accept mediocrity when it comes to my finances. Let the highs not be too high and let the lows not be too low. That's the one where I'm like, I will find contentment if I always stay neutral.
Yeah.
And anywhere else, let's
Yeah.
strive to be the best. But financially, if I can avoid getting evicted, then that is a great day. That is a great life. Yeah. If I do not have to sleep out of my car again, that is a great life.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Julianne.
Yeah.
I will say,
so
Thank
much.
you. Thank
you
guys.
might want to invest in some microphones. You're really good at this podcasting
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
1000%.
Y'all?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
You
am I
find a
just good at
topic.
panic talking?
No,
No.
you find a topic that you're passionate about or whatever your niche is, and you're good. You're very
For real.
expressive.
Yeah.
We don't say that to just everybody,
I think
just so you know.
Well, yeah.
Well, also, like, thank you to you guys for even creating this space for me, and I'm sure, like, a lot of other guests that have come on, but, like, providing that space where, like, I feel comfortable enough to talk
Yeah.
to you guys like this, you know?
Yeah.
Because, like, I know we all know each other and we're friendly, but it's not like, you know, we were in the same class for, like, years
Yeah.
and years and years, you know?
Yeah.
A year for us. And then
Yeah.
some. Yeah. But,
And I was mostly intimidated to like go up to you because you were so talented.
Honestly.
You know what's funny? It
Honestly.
was the
I was
same from me to
intimidated
you.
reach out to you
Really?
for this.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. You know what's funny is because I told my partner afterwards, I was like, yeah, they asked me to be on that. And I was like, yeah, I guess I will. And then he was like, well, what took them so long? I was like, well, what took them? I was like, I don't know. I was like,
Scared.
I was like, well, also, like, I was like, what if I gave the impression that I didn't want to be on it, which I do. But, like, I don't know. And then you realize it's like, oh, it's just a bunch of us trying to, like, it's just playing the part until we are the part. Like, just like acting confident enough until you get the confidence.
Yeah.
And so, no, I appreciate you guys, like, inviting me out and talking. And I feel like I learned a lot about you guys, too. About you guys, yeah.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
for
Thank you.
coming.
Absolutely.
Them guys, not me.
Huh? Yeah, I guess you too. What did I learn about you today? I learned that you like to sniff everything that you eat 3 times. There you go. What else did I learn? I learned
That's about it.
Yeah, that's about it. That's about it.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's
Cool.
important.
Yeah. Nice.
All right. Well,
That's all she wrote.
that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
It's a great episode. Thank you
It
for joining
is.
us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you. What is it that YouTubers do? If you like this episode, like,
Subscribe, and share.
and share.
Yeah.
And
And
I
don't
think,
forget to hit the notification button
yes,
Uh-huh.
hit the notification button. I don't know which notification button.
That bell.
on YouTube.
Oh,
The-
yeah.
yeah, on
Hit the
YouTube.
bell. Hit the bell, y'all. Hit the bell. What else? I think you can comment on it now, too.
Oh, yeah. Comment.
Yeah, so comment, even if it's like she'd be talking a little bit too much. I'll be like, hey, whatever gets the engagement going on social media.
Literally.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah.
Cool.
Yay!
All right, so
Nice.
Well, love you.
Keep creating.
and we'll see you next time. Thank you again, Julianne.
Thank you, guys.
Guess what's coming to dinner?